right, and just like that, we're live. So those are the raw files. We're going to show you the before, the after in just a second, but today we're talking two bus. If you've been hitting your head against the wall, you got distorted two bus, it could be what we're going to talk about today. It's a couple things it could be. Maybe we'll point out all of them, but first up, before mixing, this is above worship, all things new, the raw files, and then I'll switch over to my mix, see if you want to trust me to give you any mixing advice here. Super clean raw files, but here's the mix, edited and mixed actually.
Works of your hands, you make all things new. God, you make all things new. You make.
And there you go. So I should say a mix in progress. It's a little crunchy right now. We're fighting that kind of low end punch, trying to make it hit hard and, stream ready. But there's a few things making that not work so great. And so we're going to talk about that first. If you want to download and mix this song, we got free multi-tracks for it. And let's see, it's the 5th. You still have some time if you want to compete in the free mix contest. I'll put all that information, links in the description. I also have some free guides, the Headphone Mixing Blueprint, and then a special Black Friday, kind of a super short launch here. We're going to open up a couple of slots for a mix rescue where I'm going to hop on a call with you. You are going to stream your DAW to me using software I already own. You won't have to purchase any gear or anything. We're going to hop on a video chat. You're going to stream to me. I'm going to be able to listen to your session, offer up mix help. We're going to talk about anything you need. Check that out, link in the description. Moving on, we are looking at why this mix is a little bit crunchy and maybe some things we can do about it. Actually, was inspired by a thumbnail in a video I saw on YouTube, and it said sidechain everything. And I was like, absolutely, that's a great idea. I didn't watch the video. I'm sure it was great. Had a lot of views, but I was thinking, man, I sidechain stuff all the time. That we should probably show that off. So let's go look at a section of the song. I think I fixed this distortion. Let's go. I think it's right here with the floor toms here.
God had a plan, so I'll trust the mighty works of your hands. You make all things.
That one I think is just our low end. Let's come. Yeah, it's out here. There we go.
Things new. God, you make all things.
Okay, it's a little bit tighter. But let's talk about that. Let me turn off some of these things here. Let's turn off that. Let's turn off our snare. We're sidechaining all kinds of stuff here. Kick, snare, toms, and the bass. Let's go turn off our bass sidechain. We got some on the acoustic guitar. I'm sidechaining the snare to the acoustic to shut down the top end transients here. We're going to turn that off. Let's hear that section again with none of our sidechain on.
Things new. God, you make all things new.
Yeah. And so you should hear a little more obvious distortion. And you know what? Let's put this to the test here. We'll just see how far we can go with it. Let's just distort the junk out of it for a minute.
Things new. God, you make all things new. You make all.
Okay, so we're getting quite a bit of crunch from that. Now, let's go find that section, see if there's a quick way to do this. We're going to turn off. If they were all in the same insert slot, it would be quicker, but through the magic of editing, for those who don't watch the live stream, what we're going to do is throw these on, and actually not that one. Cool. Now let's hear it again.
Things new. God, you make all things.
Yeah, man, that's hard to do quickly, but that's so much cleaner, and we're smashing it. So what's happening? So essentially, you guys have probably all heard of kick and bass sidechain compression. We are, and you know what? Let me flip back over. Let's give you the Pro Tools here a little more clearly for the lesson part here. So what we have here, Mixing Modern Worship, Sub Kick, and Kick Click. In my course, Mixing Modern Worship, I have the kick mixing system. I've got 5 kick subs, 5 kick clicks. I've chosen those, check for phase. They're all ready to go. Our kick sounds like this. Let's go to a kick. Okay, that's our kick. And we did choose to completely replace because this was originally programmed with, shout out our friends over at Drum Sample Shop. I know the producer used their Austin Davis pack inside of Logic. And so it's a sample anyway. So we're using our own samples. And then what we've done here is we've sent a channel out of the Kick SC. I just call it Kick SC for sidechain. And that is going to go wherever the heck I want it to go to push down stuff relative to the kick drum. So the kick is going to be pushing things down when we show you the next step, which is to instantiate our compression. But we have one on our kick sub track because I want the subs to affect the multiband. And I also have it on my click track for the kick. So it's going to be the top end is also going to be hitting the compression when we set that up. And so if we come over, we'll just look at a quick bass sidechain thing here. Shout out to Yoad Nevo Waves. This guy tutorial recently. I don't know, it was late at night. I was watching something. I've always done, I mean, for the longest time, kick, bass, the top end and the click and the kick, and the subs from the kick pushing down the bass, so it just sits on top. Also kick to like the snare drum on a 4 in the floor pattern can be great to make sure the energy stays consistent. But he had this mid band here pushing up a little mid range for the bass. Whenever the kick was pushing it down in the subs in the top end, it was kind of pulsing it in an area where we don't often let the kick drum live very much in most modern genres. That's not even fair to say. In a lot of genres, we cut a lot of mids. And so that's kind of a cool way to make the bass hit a little bit more. So we've got that happening, kick into bass, and you'll see that set up here. Kick SC is coming into the FabFilter Pro MB, and it's going to push down. We can solo the drums and the bass a little bit. That would be fun. And it's going to push down the bass in the low frequencies and the upper mids here when the kick hits. Yeah, you can still hear that distortion. This is definitely coming from the snare. We'll fix that, but... Okay, so without it, it doesn't sound mixed very well. With it, I'm just pushing down the bass like crazy to just wrap it like a glove. I wanted it to feel more pop 808 kick bass vibe. Bass is a little sloppy on the recording, but just kind of using it as a sine wave, it ends up working really well for that kind of strategy here. And so kick, very aggressive to push that down in the top end and the bottom end. Let's also look at the toms, because I caught this just before doing the video here, going live with you guys. Let's go back up to the toms. Toms bus right here. And it's off now, but if we turn that on, it's the same thing, but on the toms bus, except I backed it off. We got about 120, probably can play with it in here. Haven't spent much time with it in the mix, just wanted to show that off because when I put this on, the overs at this high impact fill, they went away on the 2 bus with it a little more conservatively mastered. So let's take a listen to this. Here's with it on, and this is kick and toms and bass. Okay, and then let me do this. Let's copy this down and show you an exaggerated. We'll take the bass out for just a moment. And I wonder if we could we'll put the kick and we'll put the toms in. I think this will help to make these are very fine moves that on the end of the mix bus make a big difference, but I think you're going to hear it here as well. So let's do this. I copied it down. Now I'm going to get rid of the upper band. We're just going to make it one big band so you can hear the effect that's happening to those individual sections. And so here's the toms and the kick, but now the kick is going to push the toms. They'll be gone. Well, they would be gone if I set it up correctly. Let's pull the threshold and just annihilate them. Cool. So now turn it off and listen to the toms and the kick. Back on. You can hear the kick is just shoving it out of the way. And so by setting this up in frequencies, I'm able to determine, well, yeah, I want the subs of this gone, and I want the kind of the mid-range here because that's going to cause some distortion in the upper. That all those transients hitting at once is going to be a little bit much for the 2 bus. And so now we've got a kind of a safety net for anywhere in the mix where the toms and the kick drum hit together, and you can clearly hear this fill. They do. We just listened to it. So there is one thing we need to look at for is not just your low-end energy throughout the mix, but at high impact points whenever you've got multiple hits, toms, sub kicks, sub splashes. If you're boosting tons of low end, you're going to get yourself into trouble really quick unless you do something like this with the sidechain. Let me show you. This is a little bonus tip here. We'll pull open and we'll look at this snare and see if we can make sense of why I'm sidechaining the snare to the acoustic guitar. We'll take everything out of solo. There's my snare sample, one of them, and then we're going to come over to the acoustic, and I think it was this one here for the hook. And just trying to create something from a demo, really, here. I didn't explain that. These are, it was a demo that was sent in and turned it into a finished pop mix here. So go easy on me. It's not the best of recordings, but here is the snare and the acoustic together. Again, if I take that and just drag it for the whole thing, you'll hear that so much more clearly. We'll be aggressive with it. And then that release time's a little slow. I'm going to speed that up. Cool. Even the ghost notes were triggering it. This is obviously a over-exaggerated example to show you what's happening behind the scenes. But then if we take all that out, you'll see we were using it to push down the ultra top end in that guitar, which was getting a little bit out of hand when the snare and it hit together. So another example of sidechain. And, well, I don't know if did I even set this up for you guys. So let's talk about that. We'll go back to the kick and bass because that's probably the most common. And let's take a look at that. So first up in Pro Tools, we would send from the track you want to affect the compressed track. And so for the kick and the bass, we will send the kick drum. Got that set up, kick SC, come down to the bass, and we go to our bass level track. And this is where the kick is going to come into the chain and push down the bass here. It's pushing up the bass in the mid-range and pushing down here. And so to set that up with the FabFilter Pro MB, we're going to come in and use expert mode. We're going to go in, got the low shelf down here. Click on expert. It's going to open up this tab here. And you want to select external. You want to use an external sidechain, and that's going to get you going. And so what I like to do when I'm first listening for that sidechain is we'll send the signal in with the send. And then on this track, I will typically do what I showed you earlier, is just have the whole thing stretched across the screen. And it would be like this. I would just look at the bass as a whole, not the low end necessarily. And I would listen for the timing, set the attack, the release. You can also mess with and set a harder knee if you really just want to be aggressive with it, like I am with kick and bass. And there you go. You're off and running. Your kick is going to push down your bass, and you can steal that, use it on your next mix. So let's see. This was live, so let's go back and see if we have any questions. Anyone hanging out with us here? Appreciate you guys. What's up, everyone? Hey, what's up, Jackie, Musictron, Mike, Gabriel, Steven? You guys are awesome, man. Joel, appreciate it. Joel said, can we see you group buses like high end and low end and all music? Can you see your group buses? Yeah, so if we come down to the group buses on this, kind of an afterthought here, but the all vocals just got VMR. I hit that pretty hard. All drums has got the virtual mix bus as well. Got to be careful with that. I hit that pretty hard. And listen for distortion. Don't just think because it's pinned or blinking at you that it's distorted. But we'll do a quick rundown here. All drums, we're doing a snare, catcher, 3 dB. You can see that. Yep. Oh, we left the distortion, our maximizer back here. Let's fix that and pull that way back here. Be a little more conservative for our audio purist fans here.
Things new. God, you make all things new.
Yeah, so all vocals go through there. All drums is kick, snare, toms, and then I send the hat, ride, overheads, that kind of stuff to the high-end bus. It's a little janky, old school, stole it from Dave Pensado. Early, like the first 3 episodes of Pensado's Place, I think he talked about this, and that's where I got it and made it my own. So shout out to Dave, man. Longtime fan of his. Actually, he just saw a post. He's struggling. I may go ahead and include a link. If you guys are Pensado's Place fans, you'll know what I'm talking about. Dave is Alzheimer's, man. Super sad to hear that. But he was a mentor. Met him a couple times Love the guy. Really, very sad to hear that. And we'll put a link in the description for him as well. Show some support. Got a little distracted thinking about it. All drums, we talked about that. We're hitting it with more compression. I do have an EQ to dip 1K for this particular mix. Didn't use a drum crush on this one. Just haven't turned it off. Do that. Percussion bus, same thing. VMR, the mix bus, virtual mix bus. Almost never do anything with those. The all music, I do an imager. I put an imager on there and I push it pretty good. Sometimes 40, 50, 60%. Just depends on the song. Sometimes it's off. And I'm doing like narrow panning and then automating for wider choruses. But for this, bigger, got to be wide kind of stuff, it's defaulted at like 40%. And then here I have the kick bass as well. So the all music bus, if you stayed till the end, you saw that, is getting us the kick bass sidechain without the mid-range bump. And so it's kind of a safety net to make sure that that kick drum is pushing everything out of the way so it stays like a modern pop, very forward, low end, top end, just want to hear it clearly. So it's going to make sure it's heard. And that is on. I'm pretty sure that was on. And yeah, so high end, same thing. So basically that stuff. And then mix A is where my mix bus essentially starts. And that's the virtual mix bus, gain staged to hit it pretty hard. The BX Townhouse, still king of my mix bus compression. I have that off from the beginning of the mix, add it late in the mix. Golfoss, love this thing. VTM, get a bunch of low end from the very beginning with these settings here, steal them. And see what you think. This is my end of the mix EQ. Usually gets a little bit more involved in this, but for this mix, we just boosted some low end, cut a little mud at 325, and we're moving on. I did some match EQ. We got this multi-band thing happening. No sidechain on this one. This is just straight mid-side compression. And then what are we doing? Some match EQ again. It's my crutch. If you take any of my courses, you'll see that's one thing. Sometimes I go back and use match EQ to fix things. Other times we leave it on there and it sounds fine. So here, I'll show you this in action. This is one knob pressure from Waves, and shout out to Doug. Let me go over here. My man told me about this as a way to enhance the when you have verses or smaller sections that need to kind of blossom a bit. They just feel a little too disconnected, a little thin compared to a big hook. We mix for this massive hook, and then we go back. This knob, one knob pressure, can just kind of inflame things a bit, make it feel a little more connected, and I'll automate that on in the smaller sections. So here click that, it's on this whole beginning of the song, and then when the band kicks in, it turns off. So here's with it in.
Before I could see it, you were there fighting for me. Before I believed in you, God, you believed in me. When I had a problem, God had a plan. So I'll trust the works of your hands. You make all things new. God, you make all.
That first chorus is super chill, but I think you get the point. It's just kind of blossoming this stuff in here.
In you, God, you believed in me.
Yeah, man. I think you could feel it right there. Go replay that last couple of seconds. Just a couple times on YouTube. I think you're going to pick up right on it. So that's on there, hooking us up with a little bit of a lift. I am doing parallel compression on the whole mix. That's over here. And then the mix A, mix B feeds into mix bus, which is a little more EQ, cutting some bottom, taming it. I went a little heavy-handed with it. So just kind of figuring that out. And then we hit the clipper, the limiter, ozone, all that good stuff. Hey, if you want to see the entire breakdown, step-by-step, the reason why, I definitely have a full mix breakdown of this song. You can check it out, or you can get the full course. It is now in the full course, Mixing Modern Worship. Links in the description. So appreciate you guys hanging out with me. Don't forget, we got a couple of spots open for Mix Rescue. It is something that I've only ever offered in my premium mixing discipleship trainings, one-on-one hands-on training, and now I'm breaking it out. We got a little Black Friday thing. So we got some Mix Rescue sessions, video call sessions open. Check out the link in the description. Then we got the Headphone Mixing Blueprint for you and all kinds of stuff. We'll just point you down there. So now, for anyone hanging out with me live, if you're still with me, I'm going to come back and hit another couple of questions, so feel free. We got Joel. We looked at that. So we talked about the high end and low end. Jackie said, how did you make those guitars sound so full and awesome? Well, I appreciate the question. Jackie, you rock. Let's see if we can pull those up here and see if I did anything at all that was fancy to them. I have been using Decapitator a ton lately and the 1176 from Waves and hitting that pretty hard. What do we got going on here? So first, we took the electrics out of the whole first section. We did some arrangement. And then we've got CLA 76. Let's hear this part with nothing on it, maybe. Cool, and you can see where I did a quick edit, just broke them up, split the transient, just put them on the grid, a little crossfade, and we're moving on. And so with that, we have compression. 1176, 8-to-1, love it on guitars, especially clean. As a guitarist, I'm going for that kind of that smash, clean, Dynacomp compressed sound. Taking out some of the harsh stuff, mid-range, and then a slap delay so it doesn't feel so alone. Here's with the effects on. Cool. One more time with that. That was pretty... I mean, yeah, similar. See how much reduction. I mean, a little bit of reduction, so it's not anything crazy. It was mostly these two effects, and so sending it to my go-to, my favorite delay, Valhalla delay, and Tape Guitar Heaven is saved as my default preset. I may have tweaked something, but probably just pulled it from there. And yeah, I'll tweak the mod quite a bit, and I'll mess with the EQ often, but that's my kind of standard vocal, guitar, anything I want to have a little more ambience. That's kind of my first delay I throw on it for simplicity's sake, and then I will EQ that. You can see I'm taking out top end and mid-range to warm it up some. Let's see what some of these other guitars are doing. Let's hear this one without anything. Same thing. Yeah. I did go a little more aggressive with this, get it just clamping on it, making it sound heavily compressed. I dig that sound, especially for pop. I think it goes into some other... that stays pretty clean. Okay, cool. Now, I did have... Originally, I was like, when I first heard this, I was thinking, man, we can reproduce this, have a blast with it. Drums, programming, beat, production, all kinds of ideas. We'll still do that in the course, but guitars, once I get my hands back on my guitars, they're in storage right now in another state. We're going to have some fun with this track. I think it's going to be a blast, but I thought there were more guitars than that, so there's just those, but yeah, so just a lot of compression. Look on this one, a couple of instances of the CLA 76. So a little strummy, what's that called? Feels a little sing-along, right? Like the ball following the lyrics on the screen kind of thing. That's what the acoustic kind of felt like. I was like, man, we need to just pump that thing up, give it some steroids, and we did. So that hopefully explains that pretty well. The effects, other than that one, is the DG slaps, and that's often if I pan something to the left, old CLA thing, I would send it to a slap delay on the right. If I pan it right, I may slap it left. And the slap is just anywhere from 90 to 120 milliseconds or so. Let's see if I'm a liar. Where's slap L and R right here? And they're probably in that range. Left is 105. Right is probably 112. And so sometimes I tweak those depending upon the song. You can get a little more excitement or something from sending like background vocals to slap delays on each side, but slightly different times. It kind of creates that impression of more singers. That could be fun. What do we got going on, guys? Any more questions? What do we see? When you're mixing multiple vocals, like one lead vocal with 4 BVs, do you sidechain lead? That's a great question. I actually don't sidechain leads and BVs because I leave the lead alone down the middle, usually. And so any BVs that are like sometimes I'll put tenors just off center, 20, 30% left and right. Alto's a little out of that. Sopranos, like a gospel or something. But they're never directly down the middle. If someone sends me gospel or background vocal stacks for worship that are, say they give me a left, center, right, 3 tenors, 3 altos, 3 sopranos, I'll take the one of each of the parts and I'll use Waves Real ADT and I'll do the fake stereo thing and make it left and right. And so it just thickens it up. That's a cool effect. It actually works out really good when they send 3 stacks instead of 2 for that reason. But 4 is better. 7's even better. It depends on the sound you're going for. But you asked about side chaining. Here's what I do for side chaining in gospel or any record where there's a lot of background vocals. If the background vocals are meant to cut through and they're meant to be important, then I will use something like the Waves Factory Track Spacer. And we'll throw this on, and that's where the background vocals will push down sidechain the music bus. And what I'll do is I'll start with it wide range, and I'll have, we don't really have background vocals. I sing some harmonies on here, but it's not worth using that to push down the music. I want one of those in this song to be more like a texture, and so it's a little different. But if it's gospel or CCM, you really got big choir, open background vocals, that kind of thing, crank on it. Pull it in sidechain, so have your BGVs come through BVs on a bus, and then leave it open and hit it really hard. And what I like to do is open up this little parameter here, and you can dial in the attack and release. It's already set pretty good, but you can speed it up even more, dial back the release. You can tweak it a little bit. Very nice. You can even do mid-side. I do that with kick and bass a lot. When I have wide, like the stereo synth bass kind of stuff, I'll use that quite a bit with the actual bass guitar and help them find their own space that way. But vocals into the all music bus, we're going to push down the all music bus like we're doing here with the kick drum on this song, except we would do it with the vocals. And so now what I would do is wide range, and then I would dial in and just see like where the BV's really living, because they're probably not 100 to 400 hertz is probably not necessary. So I may go just above that down here, set it above 400. And then up top, it may be like cymbals and lead vocal pristine up top. So I may kind of go in like the 2 or 3K range and let it push the music bus down just in that range. And then I'm going to dial this back just a hair, right? So it's just going to barely affect it. And so you can play with that, exaggerate it, dial it back a little bit, train your ear by exaggerating the effect and dialing it back. Great effect to be able to keep background vocals singing on top of everything. But then when the band needs to and the background vocals stop their thing, everything comes right back in. It's subtle. It's not meant to be like an exaggerated thing, but hopefully that helps you out there. What do we got? DW, hi Dave and all. Thanks for making the multi-tracks available. Great to mix an actual Christian song. Hey man, I'm so grateful that you did. Looking forward to hanging out with you guys during the stream. Michael said, I always struggled with the bass. I really had trouble getting it to be both wide and crisp at the same time. Did you do that? Greetings from Germany. Appreciate you, man. So you struggled with the bass. You had a hard time getting it to be both wide and crisp at the same time. So something I've been doing lately, did I do it on this one? Let's come up and see with the bass, is using CLA bass. And man, it's got a pretty cool thing. I did not do it on this one. This song, it might benefit from it. It's got that kind of pop vibe, but I don't know, pop, radio, pop, CCM kind of vibe, right? What I would do is send to a stereo instance of CLA bass. Let's throw it on here and we'll demonstrate. I've done this on some songs. And then depending upon the sound that we're going for, this one was more like sine wave 808, so I didn't really need any grit. But let's loop it and see what happens with is that the only thing soloed? So here's the bass into CLA. We'll send the full signal and we'll go pre-fader, mute the original, and did I set it up correctly? I think so. Oh, well, can't mute it there. I got to mute it here. There we go. So that's only CLA that we're hearing right now if I am looking at it correctly. Let's mute it. Yeah. So for this song, something like the growl might be kind of cool if we needed a little more definition, a little more of the strings hitting just giving us some more transient. But let's hear if we really, I like to get this wide. There we go. There we go. So I'm really compressing it. Now let's take it and we're going to blend it in. So we'll unmute our original. You will not hear the CLA bass now. You're just hearing the original. So it's very narrow. I didn't put any width or anything to it. Now let's see what happens. Cool. And you can even get fancier than that. We can come over here and send it to another. Let's go stereo dimension D. This is a spreader effect similar to what's built into CLA. We're just taking it to a whole nother level here. What do we got? Oh, yeah. Now, if you wanted to, you could also, you got to check phase with all of this, but you could come in here and take out like the deepest of subs and make this only like a low mid thing. But again, we'd have to make sure we're in phase. Let's. Yeah, either way is fine. They've got low end each way. You're going to have to manipulate your low end no matter which way you do it. But in the mix, let's see. I don't know. Maybe you hooked me up with a little additional sound here. Let's try it.
All things new. God, you make all things new. You make all things.
Now, for this particular song, I'm not a fan of the definition in the bass because it was a little bit sloppy and it was a lot of editing, and I don't want to pull up the mid-range as much. But it sounded pretty killer. I don't know if you got you could even like a pop punk bass, or worship bass could even benefit from that. You got the distortion pedal that kicks on, and you also do that CLA bass at the same time. That could be pretty sick. So great stuff, man. Great question. Hopefully that gave you some ideas. Don't be afraid to experiment with those, but always when you're dealing with low end, don't forget to invert the polarity. Check the phase. DW said Neve 1073 with a Pultec is also great. I agree. I love it. Right on, Michael. Thanks, dude. Joel said is sidechaining the lead Vox to the all music group to push down around 2 to 4 so you can push the music a couple more. It's amazing practice. And heck yes, another awesome tip, thanks to Joel, we'll come over here and show, would be if you've got the, where is it at? Yeah, so if you have a vocal that's struggling to cut, I do this quite a bit actually here with the Pro MB. So you got the kick. Sometimes this is stacked. We'll have the track spacer is what I would use. And what he's saying is to use the lead vocal to carve out space. This is actually where I do use the mid side. And so that's where now this is going to be a mid side mode. And it would just be pushing down the center channel, if I remember correctly. There may be another step to getting it. But no, I think that's it. And then you can have this pan for either mid 100% or just the sides. And so that would be pan here for the mid. And now the lead vocal is only going to push out stuff on the all music bus down the middle in the frequency range that you set. And I would actually set it at 800 hertz or so through to about 2-3K, like he said. 2-3.5K, somewhere in there. I would set it open, wide open, so you know exactly what this is doing. Just crush it. And then back it off until full band you feel like it's contributing a nice, and it's usually going to be way down here in like 4 or 5% if you're on a bus. But yeah, have a play with that. Great idea, man. Absolutely. So what else we got? Jackie said, love me some CLA bass, guitars, and vocals. Same. You know what I've been using? I used to throw CLA stuff, the Greg Wells, some of those things on the end of a chain after I've already I think I've mixed it and I think I've added 30 dB of compression was enough, but it wasn't. I'll throw on Neutron now. I used to use those CLA and Greg Wells. Now I've been using Neutron 5, I think it's called. And shout out to Dave Godowski over at Isotope for sending that over. When I use it, it just pops. And then I go in, I may tweak a thing here and there, but it's pretty impressive. I'm using it as like a mix finisher to go in and hit things with Neutron. So gotta love these AI tools. Yeah, cool. Well, I appreciate you guys hanging out. Again, don't forget, check out those links. Ane, is that how I pronounce it? Forgive me. Keys, feels so good to be here. I love all your stuff. Hey, man, I really appreciate you. I'm fighting to get healthy and try to be back more consistently. But you guys rock, man. Hey, your support goes a long way. I've got links down in the description. I've got a few spots. Jackie took me up on a spot for Mix Rescues. So that means I'm going to be opening up a video chat. I'm using riverside.fm. Give them a plug because it's incredible. Video chat. It records the session. And I'm going to use audio movers. Listen to, you're going to stream to me your DAW, whatever you're using, Reaper, Cubase, Pro Tools, Logic, Studio One. Most main DAWs support this. Most major DAWs are going to support this. And you're going to be able to have my eyes and ears directly on your mix session. And we're just going to go through it. The testimonials, I got to still put them together and put them in on a page so you can see them. It's by far it's the most time consuming, but it's a 90 to 120 minute call. Again, I'll put the links down in the description for that. And there you go. So we got one more question before I wrap it up. We got Jeremiah saying, how do you usually create your different reverbs to make room mics? I have used the same boring three reverb settings for fake drum rooms for a very long time, since it came out. Bricasti Close, Far, and Large Wooden Room. If you're familiar with the Bricasti M7, it is one of the best reverb units, man. Such incredible tones coming from it. My man Joey Fernandez always telling me he's got 3 of them or something. I don't know, showing off. But we have them in the box, and they still sound incredible. But this is, you can get the Verb Suite Classics from Slate Digital, and then these are additional that you have to add or download. You could also go to, I think it was Bricasti M7. You can Google or use ChatGPT, Bricasti M7 impulse responses, and there's a donation-based. You can technically get it for free, but maybe toss them a couple of bucks for putting the work in. You can go download those and use them in your favorite reverb, as long as it allows you to use impulse responses, waves, a bunch of them do. You'll be able to use these same ones. But I use the Bricasti Rooms 1, Studio B Close, Studio B Far, and Large Wooden Room. And so you can see those right here, B Far, and then Large Wooden Room. That's about a second. The other two are 2 slightly different sounding half-second rooms. This one, I'm just filtering the bottom. I think it's the same on all of them by default. And then often, when I'm really featuring them in a mix, I'll compress them, I'll shape them, maybe saturate them. I'll explore with them a little bit more. But default in my template, they're there to send to. And it's mostly reserved for hats, ride, overhead mics, cymbal mics, if I do that. Sometimes snare, depends on the genre, but often more I'm using snare samples for reverb and snare decay than I am reverb. But I still do, so it's definitely there to play with it. All right, one more. Joel said, is there a specific reason why your workflow doesn't have a lot of Waves plugins? I started on Waves plugins, I think was it the gold bundle for like $2,000 when I was 18 or 19 or something crazy like that. I'm 41 and a half, so if that tells you anything. And before that, in Orlando, Florida, there was, I don't know if you guys know there was a reggae bar, oddly enough, at City Walk, Universal Studios City Walk. And when I was a young guy, I don't remember how old I was. This is a really long time ago. My buddy Arthur Goncalves and I, we he was friends with, and we got connected with these guys, and they had a studio, and they had a Pro Tools Mix Plus system. And we went in, and they gave me I didn't know any better. I think I was like 16. They gave me an ungodly amount of plugins. I went, and it was like the next week, OS X came out, and all those were deemed obsolete. So I went from a lot of Waves plugins, and I was a huge fan. I had the gold bundle that we purchased, and then Stark Lake Studios, we had the platinum or whatever. And so we had, anyways, I'm running on and on about Waves plugins. Long history with Waves, but I can't remember when it was. Slate came out. I started using theirs. FabFilter is kind of my go-to. The Pro Q, the Pro MB, those are like, in Universal Audio for a long time, I used almost all Universal Audio with like the Pro Q, but kind of comes in waves. It's a really bad joke, but yeah, do swap out plugins from time to time. I found what works, and it's become more about how can I save time mixing with my ADHD, my autism and ADHD, rather than swapping out just for the sake of new plugins and stuff. But hey, I do have new templates. They're not ready yet, almost ready. My Pro Tools template's ready. It's going in Mixing Modern Worship. It's got all the latest additions and things that I've done to it. The kick system, all that kind of stuff. Snare system is coming soon. But yeah, I use all kinds of plugins. Waves are great. I love them all. I don't have anything bad to say about almost any plugin company whatsoever. So we're spoiled with tools, my friends. We've got a couple more. Kevin, what's up? He said O-Town. You got to help me pronounce your name, my friend. I'm so I don't want to butcher it. I'm like pausing to say it. Is it Anye? Anya Keys says, I've actually learned how to deduce presets and tweak them from different plugins to others for examples. Yep, that's awesome. Reverse engineer them and copy them over. Love it. Right on. Well, you guys rock, man. Thanks for hanging out with me. And yeah, we're going to wrap it up, but we're headed to get some more client work done. And then I've got an email going out. If you guys want to get in, just a couple more spots. I think just 2 more, I think is all we're going to do, but we'll put that link in the description. So thanks again for hanging out. Appreciate you guys. Check it out. Links in the description, and we'll see you soon.